Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to watch this presentation on meditation and its benefits. For a little bit of context, my name's Dan Benna, and I've spent most of my adult life as a scientist. I have an undergraduate degree in biochemistry and a graduate degree in industrial pharmacy. So I was never particularly a meditator nor a fan of meditation until I had a spiritual awakening a few years back. And now I'm certainly intrigued by meditation and made this presentation to try to apply a scientific lens to the benefits that are touted for meditation and mindfulness. I would say if you have not started on your meditation journey, please do as soon as you can. I've become such a devotee of meditation that I'm actually creating my own guided meditations now for free for anyone to use. And those are also on the coachpsychic.com site, as well as on the Insight Timer app. So let's start by talking just a bit about the miraculous brain. After all, that is at the center of everything. For an organ that weighs just about 3 pounds and has a texture like a firm jelly, it has a remarkable job. It is the master controller of virtually everything that we do as human beings, from before the moment of our birth until the time that our physical existence ends or our body dies. It's about 75% water, so you can imagine how important hydration is to maintain its functioning. In fact, even as little as 2% dehydration can negatively affect brain functions like memory, attention, and more. The human brain, in its magnificence, contains approximately 100 billion, with a B, neurons or nerve cells. And to put that in context, that's about the same number of stars in the entire Milky Way galaxy. And you know how almost unfathomable the magnitude of galaxies are, and astronomy, and some of those numbers and facts and terms. I can never even possibly comprehend the magnitude of some of those things. And yet, within our own bodies, as human beings, we have the same unbelievable, amazing things happening. 100 billion neurons in our brain. These neurons are connected by trillions of synapses, which are the connections, sort of the roads that connect these nerve cells. And sometimes that network is referred to as the neuron forest. You probably have seen pictures, graphic images that show, sort of a network. It looks almost like wires in our brain. That's the neuron forest. And the information in that forest, or between and among those nerve cells, can go as fast as 250 miles per hour, modulating everything that we see, think, do, feel, and sense. The average person every day has anywhere between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts every single day. And it might surprise you to hear that about 95% of those thoughts are the same repetitive ones as the day before. So they don't leave us. They repeat themselves. They come back every day, day after day. And sadly, about 80% of those, in most people, are negative thoughts. In a way, you sort of can't blame ourselves, because the world is certainly a challenging place, perhaps now more than many times in history. But we can change that. And one of the ways we can change that is mindfulness through meditation. Your brain uses about 20% of the oxygen and blood in your body. And as you'd imagine, it needs a constant supply of that oxygen to function properly. And some scientists suggest that the harder you think, the more that engine works. Therefore, the more oxygen and fuel your brain will use from your blood, up to about 50%. Every single minute, anywhere from 750 to 1,000 milliliters of blood flow through the brain. And when you think about a liter bottle of soda or a liter bottle of wine, that's 1,000 milliliters. Every single minute, one of those flows through your brain in terms of blood as fuel. And many people, when they start to think of the brain and its function, they ultimately come to dreams, because dreams have long held fascination for people. Dream interpreters, scientists, neuroscientists. And dreams are believed to be a combination of a person's imagination, tempered by physiological factors that can certainly affect dreams, and also neurological factors. So let's shift from talking about the magnificence and the miracle of our brains to what happens with our brain when we meditate. But first, let's define meditation. There's a lot of different definitions of it, depending on which spiritual practice you go to. But for purposes of this presentation, let's call meditation a practice entailing an enhanced focus of the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to achieve a mentally clear and emotionally calm state. Sounds like a lot of words, and it is. Ultimately, it's about concentration and mindfulness. It's about clearing your mind of everything except what's happening in the moment. And guided meditations help you visualize different scenarios in your magnificent brain. And by doing that, there can be myriad health benefits associated with that. Concentration, for example, during meditation, can certainly affect the neurotransmitters or the natural brain chemicals in our brains. And specific examples are dopamine, the neurotransmitter often considered of pleasure, serotonin, the happiness neurotransmitter, and GABA, gamma aminobutyric acid, the neurotransmitter often associated with a feeling of calm. All three of those rise in response to meditation. So it is more pleasurable, it makes you happier, and it makes you calmer. And according to the Harvard Gazette, studies have shown benefits against an array of conditions, both physical and mental, owing to meditation. And these include irritable bowel syndrome, fibromyalgia, which plagues so many people, psoriasis, anxiety, depression, and even post-traumatic stress disorder. And while some of the findings, in all transparency, have been called into question in that study because of small sample sizes or perhaps questions about experimental designs, there are a handful of key areas, including depression, chronic pain, and anxiety, for which very well-designed, well-run studies have shown the benefits for patients engaging in a mindfulness meditation program. So you can always pick apart scientific studies, but at some point, the data become so compelling and just so broad and so voluminous that it's really hard to argue with it. And I would say that's the case for things like depression, pain, and anxiety. A study in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine reported that people who meditated over an 8-week period had a striking change in the expression of 172 genes. Now think about that. Just with the power of your mind, just by being mindful and meditating, you can potentially impact how your genes are expressed. And in particular, these genes are the ones that regulate inflammation, often associated with so many illnesses, circadian rhythms, which often govern how restful and how deep your sleep is, and glucose metabolism, which certainly controls or mediates a plethora of different physiologic responses. And that in turn was linked to a meaningful decrease in their blood pressure. Now, this one is also a small study, doesn't show a firm cause and effect, but it provides certainly directional information that meditation might actually be able to impact the way our genes change. And when you think that so many cancers are associated with genetic changes, certainly this should pique your interest in terms of how much control we have over our own health even with things as insidious as cancer. According to Hari Sharma with the Center for Integrative Medicine at The Ohio State University, and this is through citation of multiple sources, research has confirmed myriad health benefits associated with the practice of meditation. And these include, but certainly are not limited to, stress reduction, probably one of the most commonly known, decreased anxiety, decreased depression, reduction in pain, both physical pain and psychological pain, improved memory, which has certainly become of interest to so many people with all of the news and media coverage of dementias and Alzheimer's diseases and other cognitive decline, and also increased efficiency, sort of getting things right the first time, not having to redo things, not having to wonder, oh, did I put my keys here, or did I leave my card in the ATM machine? Increased clarity and efficiency, all associated with meditation and mindfulness. Physiological benefits certainly include reduced blood pressure, reduced heart rate, and reduced cortisol, the so-called stress hormone, and reduced epinephrine, also called adrenaline. And, adrenaline is kind of the anti-relaxer, right? When you say, oh, my adrenaline is pumping, it's because you're at a heightened state of excitement, often anger, often sort of the fight or flight response. And meditation reduces that hormone. It decreases metabolism. It slows things down, slows your breathing pattern. It slows your oxygen utilization, and also, consequently, your carbon dioxide elimination. And it increases melatonin levels. And when you think about melatonin and its association with sleep, you can imagine that you would expect to see, or could expect to see, positive benefits in restfulness and quality of sleep by practicing meditation. It provides increased skin resistance, so that when you poke your finger into your arm, how the skin responds, right? It's a more supple skin, which is associated with more younger ages. It increases relative blood flow to the brain. And as we learned, a liter, it takes a liter every minute flowing through the brain of blood. That is a remarkable amount. So if you can increase that through meditation, how can it not have a positive impact on brain function? And it even increases electroencephalogram coherence. And those are the tests that measure brain signals, EEGs, they're called. And a study on the effect of meditation on what's called the executive attentional network of the brain and nervous system found that meditators did better, performed better, did well, better than the control, faster on all tasks that they were given. So it was a controlled study, and those who meditate were able to do tasks faster than those that did not. And as we age, the brain cortical thickness, which is the gray matter in our brains, which contains so many neurons or nerve cells, that cortical thickness decreases as we age. And meditation experience, conversely, is associated with an increase in gray matter in the brain. Is it anti-aging? I don't know that we're prepared to say that, but certainly it seems to point to a positive effect. And meditation decreases what's called sympathetic overstimulation. And that's related again to that epinephrine or that adrenaline, the fight or flight response. And if that's not enough, it even reduces cholesterol in some studies, and can also, and has been shown to reduce a person's craving for smoking. So that is quite a litany of positive health impacts, owing solely to something as simple as meditation and mindfulness. So it costs you nothing There are no downsides to meditation. You can start immediately. You can go to coachpsychic.com and do a meditation. You can go to insighttimer.com and download the app and do any of thousands or tens of thousands of free meditations. There are many sites that are free and paid, like Gaia.com, DailyOM.com. All of these are listed on the coachpsychic.com site. There's no downside. So I encourage absolutely everyone to start their journey or accelerate and continue their journey on meditation and mindfulness. Credible, peer-reviewed medical data continue to prove the positive benefits of mindfulness and meditation. So for me, and I hope you'll agree, that's a no-brainer. So isn't it worth a try? Thanks very much for your time and attention and your mindfulness in listening to this presentation. Learn more at coachpsychic.com.